Hi, this is Charlene from Radical Feng Shui with Charlene, and today we're celebrating the beginning of the Water Rabbit Year, or the Lunar New Year. Now, we're looking at what we call a solar lunar calendar, and the Gregorian system, which started in the mid-1500s, doesn't reflect all those years BC. A lot of Asian culture goes back very far, and I'm looking around because I have an audience with me today, which I find exciting. Not huge, but people that may ask questions, and it's so nice to have their support to be here while I'm filming this. I would have gone live, but I don't have enough subscribers. So the one thing I will say is please go to subscribe to this. And when it comes to your personal animal and your element, I will give you that information if you're a subscriber, and also the gifts I'm offering today, I will offer them to subscribers only, and that's only fair because I do a lot of work for my channel and I'm sharing a lot of information. So I'll be offering gifts later, 5 special gifts for those of you that have subscribed to my channel. Getting back to the year. Now, people have asked, what exactly is Chinese astrology? Because a lot of people, unlike myself, don't really know. It's a subscribed system. Actually, I'm going to just read from my notes here. It's a traditional classification scheme that's based on Chinese culture that assigns an animal to each of 12 years. Now, there is a similarity to the West. We have a Western system that assigns 12 different animals or 12 components to the zodiac monthly. This is an annual thing, and it starts every year on the Lunar New Year. Now, what is the Lunar New Year? Chinese New Year starts differently every year. The Lunar New Year is the second new moon after the solstice. So it will usually fall every year somewhere between January 20th and February 21st. So if you're born somewhere in that location, you might be from the year before. Next question people ask is, how do I find my animal? The best thing to do is to go into your computer, your smartphone, and input your exact birth day and year and go Chinese animal and element, because you want to know the element of the year you're born under. And that's what I'll be giving personal predictions for when you subscribe to my channel, because I've written a lot on each channel, but I've written predictions for each and every element, of which there are 5. Now, the 5 elements repeat themselves twice in every year. So this year we're the water rabbit. Last year it was the water tiger. The year before was metal, because metal comes before water. Then there's wood, fire, earth, back to metal. Now we had the year of the metal rat, then the metal ox. Then we had the water tiger and the water rabbit that's starting right now. Now, the Asian New Year is practiced and celebrated in a lot of countries in the world. Yes, it originates in China, but it's also celebrated in Bhutan, Nepal, Tibet, Thailand, Cambodia, in South Korea, and Vietnam. So there's a lot of places around the world today, because today is Chinese New Year's Day. We're celebrating that right now, the beginning of a 2-week period. It goes from new moon to the full moon. So in Asian cultures, they have celebrations for 2 weeks, and they do very specifically, like they make sure that their houses are cleaned up and everything's just fine right up until the day. Then they have major celebrations. They go see the grave sites of the ancestors. They give each other little red envelopes with money in it for good luck. They visit relatives. Then they go back to work, but then they come back at the last 2 days, and that's when they have their light festivals. Many of us have experienced cultures around the world where light festivals are really dynamic and powerful, and they do that on the last day of the Chinese New Year's, which is going to be February 4th this year. Now I'm going to get back to that because something very powerful and special is happening this year, because February 4th is the switchover date for 9-star key astrology, or Feng Shui astrology, which I'll mention later. Right now I want to talk about what's going on this year for the rabbit. First, I'll talk about the element water, a little bit about 2022. So we have a tiger animal who's very precise and very fast and very smart, and he attacks or pounces with precision. The water element is got this mysterious aspect to it. So a lot of us got blindsided by the tiger last year. A lot of things happened we did not expect, did not want, and it came out of nowhere with ferocity. So the ferocity of the tiger and its ability to watch and wait and pounce at the right moment, we're lost because the water element kind of hid that. Water has a lot of different components to it. So last year is a bit of an idea, like metal of the years before is very controlling. Water is subversive. In fact, in 9-star key astrology, there's only one personality for one water because it's so dynamic, and one for 9 fire. Now going back to that, one water is very, and water itself is very dynamic in that it presents as snow, fog, ice, the babbling brook, the raging river, the depths of the ocean, and stagnant ponds. It's, you know, in snowflakes, there's so many ways that it presents that we can't really keep up to it. Water also has a very secretive aspect to it. So people that know Scorpios in the Western system talk about that sensual, sexual, secretive aspect of a Scorpio because it's a water sign in the Western system. So there's this thing about water that is mysterious. It can, you know, it can change rapidly. It can be subversive. And in water, we often say that water is emotion. Water is, you know, flooding. Like when we have floods in our houses, like what's the symbology of that? A lot of emotions coming. There's all these things that in my work as a Feng Shui consultant and a designer, I look at as in terms of symbology. So water is a big thing, and my book is all about, it's called Elemental Feng Shui because it is based on the elements and what I'm looking for. Now I have a guest here who I did a reading for the other night, and I was saying that the interesting thing about the water aspect and about the elements is that it really defines who we are as people and what we will do as a person, and combinations of elements can make us really varied in our personalities, the types of careers we take, and all of that. So getting back to the rabbit energy opposed to tiger energy is rabbits are, you know, we see them as soft and warm and fuzzy, and they're not all of that. They are that, but they're a lot more than that. Maybe I should phrase it that way. Rabbits, very intelligent, very observant. They really watch what's going on. They have a very peaceful and docile nature. They hate conflict. So this year, we're being asked because of these things to take a more conservative approach, to be a lot more diplomatic, to really step back like the rabbit, take a moment to see what's going on and not be so impulsive. The tiger energy was super impulsive, and we witnessed that in world events. We witnessed it in a lot of ways, and even emotionally. So having said that, the rabbit is associated with the moon. In fact, in Asia, they see the rabbit in the moon. They don't see the man in the moon. Now there's this lunar component to the moon that has to do with deep-seated understanding, intuition, going deep, perceptions that we're really wanting to mine that in ourselves this year. Now that's a very yin quality, a very subversive underneath quality, which water plays into. So the lunar part of the deep night when we're rejuvenation and all of that and going deep into our intuitive process this year is really important. The other interesting thing about the rabbit, it sits due east. Now east in Feng Shui and elementally is the wood element, and that's all about new beginnings. It's about first thing in the morning, the rooster crowing, the beginning of spring. All the energy that is wood is very dynamic, and it really portends to a lot of growth. So what's going to happen to us this year? We have a powerful opportunity for growth. So we have the water rabbit feeding the element, the base element of rabbit, which is wood. So we have this dynamic energy coming through with an animal that tends to be more conservative and holds it back. So the biggest thing I would say about how we can learn from the rabbit is to be more conservative. not to respond or react so quickly. Hold back a little bit, wait and watch, use their powerful observant qualities to do all of that. And when we do, then we just give ourselves a little bit of breathing time. And me, as a fire sign, I'm a Leo and I'm a fire monkey. So I tend to be a little more dynamic in my presentation, a little fiery, go off a little easily, and I think I'm really going to have to learn a lot from the rabbit this year. And going back to the Western system, every animal of the Chinese astrology coincides with the Western symbol or sign. So if you're an Aries, you align with dragon. Myself, I'm a Leo, and I align with Leo because I'm a monkey. So it's not that you have to be that, but it just gives you a double energetic of that element. So if you're an Aries and you're out there and you've got fire, you've got the wood behind you, kaboom, very powerful. And we know that Aries are very much out there in that way, very dynamic, another fire sign. So I just wanted to mention that. Now, the other part of the water element or the moon aspect is that this wood energy of spring brings a yang energy in the growth cycle. And because the rabbit is who they are, this year, one of the most important things is personal growth. The opportunity to know yourself better, to get out there and do things that are a little different, and to really go into that place of the shadow. Again, water, the subversive, things we don't know about. So the rabbit is really calling us into that place of personal growth, going deep on all levels. Having said that, knowledge is right across from relationship on the bagua in the Chinese system. The system I use in Feng Shui, where every energetic is placed in a household or a room that we look at to see if it's balanced. Knowledge, self-knowledge, deep knowledge. Knowledge often is also the mountain gua. It's where the monks go to go into the mountain to pray for sentient beings. This has been going on for millenniums and millenniums. So that energy of knowledge, the more we know about ourselves, the more we can relate deeply to those around us. So with that knowledge, we can go into these situations knowing that it's time to take that time. We don't have to be blindsided by events in our lives or things happening. We just have to kind of go, something's going to happen. It's going to make me think. It's going to make me work. It's going to make me go deep, and embrace it, because the energy of change and growth, the minute you acknowledge it, it shifts. You don't have, the more we resist, the more it persists. So that's an important thing to know, this yin quality of nighttime and the moon, and the yang quality of growth in this year especially. Now, a few other things I want to say about the tiger is that it had an impulsiveness that rabbit doesn't have. So we're going to go into that more quiet way of looking at things, yet be in a dynamic growth year. So that's going to create a little bit of, uncertainty. I think the world is experiencing that as we go into all of these things, pandemics, coming out of pandemics. We're being taught to really take a moment to step back, to maybe hide a little bit before we can come out with our powerful energy. I've written 12,000 words about this, which I'll be posting on my website, which I'll give you later. And I'm just going to look at a few things here because I want to talk about this personal growth aspect. Now, I was in an interview the other day, and my friend said, well, what about rabbits and how they multiply and how prolific they are? And I'd written 12,000 words and never thought of that once. But what did come up was the energy behind community. So we're looking at multiple rabbits and multiple opportunities to really dig deep and find and hold our community. Even though one water is very solo and very, has many presentations, but a one water person is very much a hermit and very single-minded and very much superior because they go so deep to find the answers. This year, that multiplicity of all those bunnies is our community. So when we're doing personal work, yes, it's good to have a counselor, but it's also great with, it's going to be interpersonal relationships within ourselves, our families, but also with colleagues within the work system. They're going to be challenged, and the best way to deal with it is as a group. So yes, if you have a problem and you want to call a girlfriend to talk about it or a guy friend to talk about it, make sure you get together as a group. have some tea and share your issue so that you get this multiplicity of response back. Everybody has a different perspective, and those perspectives are really going to help us this year, because the perspectives of the whole of the community will allow us to move through the year more gracefully. It also allows us to stop and wait, to gather those people around us and give ourselves a moment to look at the issues we have, so that we're not so stunned, shocked, blindsided like the tiger did last year. The beautiful peacefulness of the rabbit born, they, like I said earlier, they don't like conflict. Well, this peacefulness really leads to diplomacy. So there's an aspect of diplomacy in the planet that's coming up. There's an aspect of really taking time and being gentle with ourselves in spite of all that goes on, is taking the time to gather our forces, to gather all those bunnies around us and know that we're not alone in this, which I think is an amazing, amazing thing. So right now I just want to put it out. Any questions from anybody that I'm sitting here that you might want to ask about? Nothing? Okay, so I'm just going to briefly talk, before I end this 20-minute session, I'm going to briefly talk about the fact that I've been doing this work, Feng Shui designer. I have a degree in design. I have a diploma in Feng Shui with KeyMag International. I've had a lot of different teachers, and one of the things I started doing probably, I would say 20 years ago, was to create a talisman for the year. Now, what a talisman is, and I'll read it to you because I wrote this a couple of years ago. A talisman is an object infused with life force energy of the one who creates it. A talisman is intended to protect, heal, or activate intention for whom they are made. They are often portable objects carried on a person, placed in a space, or installed permanently in architecture. Cornerstone, the cornerstone of a building, putting something in the very first stone laid, even in the concrete laid in modern buildings, putting something in that corner to give it good luck. That's a talisman. Talisman evoke the energy assigned in their creation and intention as a reminder to the recipient. So this year, I will show you the water rabbit talisman. Now, you'll notice the shape is a little different because water is definitely wavy. And last year when I did the tiger, it was a big wave with the eye of the tiger right in the middle of it. So it was definitely a powerful, forceful wave. This year, it's more organic in the sense that water, when you spill it on the ground, is very abstract. And the way I've cut it, the shape, the way it's designed is of that. Now, when I do talismans, I often chant, I pray, I write words on the back and side, and I'll also activate them for the person they belong to. So over the years, I would give them out to people that were that age. They take a lot of time and energy, and I actually, you can buy them, and I only make very few, 9 to 12 in any given year, and they're $30. There's a lot of time and energy, and they're beaded, and they have special stones in them for the year, and they symbolize every element. Now, the funny thing about this particular year, I live in a small town at the moment. I went to get some blue paper. The only blue paper they had was one piece of blue handmade paper. Now, normally I'm in Vancouver or I'm some big city where I can have I can look at all kinds of rice papers and decide which one I want to use. Not this year. So I buy that. I know I'm going to be able to get my talisman out of it. I'm cutting out the talisman, and I see the symbology on the paper are tigers, and that this is the paper for the water tiger year. I'm like, oh my God, how can I use that in this year's talisman? And there I had answered my own question. There's the forward moving bunny through the moon and the calligraphy for bunny on top, year of the water rabbit. On the back, for some reason, I was inclined to put a backwards bunny symbolically behind another powerful Tibetan symbol, looking back at the year of the tiger, to bring forth all the powerful intention without any of the stress. So this is, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm saying this, because it's like things happen because they happen. And often I'm in the middle of watching things evolve magically because I've put myself in the right time, in the right place. So these talismans are infused with a lot of prayer, intention, and dynamic energy. They've got the fire energy of my creating them. They've got a lot of blue, and they've got different colors for earth energies, and they've got metal because there's little tiny, there's glitter in there that's metallic, and I put golden glitter on the bottom for grounding, and I put blue and green glitter on top. And I've infused this information and this energy in every step, and there's a lot of steps to design these. Sometimes it takes me weeks and weeks to get it right. I'll do something, I'll scrap it and scrap it. So that's what's in a talisman, and I'm gonna stop here for a brief break, talk to my people, and come back with more on the rabbit year. Thanks for joining me so far. Be right back.